Well, how do everybody? So how you doing today? The farmer in.
Liddell.
The farmer in.
Liddell.
Hi-ho, da dirty do, the farmer in.
Liddell.
All right, so earlier this week, I was at Wilco, and they had these panels, and they were on clearance because some of them were a little bit bent up. Like if you go, look right there, you can see it's a little bit bent. Go in here further, I'll show you one. It's sort of kind of really bent. If you look right there, see how it's like it's going along the top, and then it goes way up, and then it goes up some more. I'm guessing that like somewhere down here they grabbed it with like some chains or something, and it was hung up. But anyway, I got them for like 25% off, something like that. But anyhow, back to the real story here. Come on. Sheesh. Anyway, so if you overlap these, there's like sections where they're smaller and then the sections get bigger. This is what's called a cattle panel. If you take one of the little small sections and overlap it with one of the larger sections, then it ends up being 8 feet. So these are 50-inch panels. And if you overlap it like I was just saying, so that basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go along here and zip tie these all the way down. So there'll be a 2x4 like this, and then a little bit higher there'll be another 2x4, and then if we were to look at it from the side, then that's what the cattle panels are going to do. It'll make more sense in a minute, but I just thought I'd show you that you can flip those over. If I flip this one over as well, then I could zip tie it twice, which is what I may end up doing anyway, just because that looks okay, but having it zip tied twice would be better, I suppose. And then there'll be a tarp that goes over. Yeah, you'll see. Anyway, I'll put you in the giddy up mode, and we'll see how much of this we can get done. It may seem like extra work, but I'm turning this one around so that these bars are on the bottom of one, and the one I'm standing on is on the top. That way they overlap better, and you're not fighting each other where the long bars are going to be, because they're not meshed together. It's one over the top. Yep, that'll work. We can just leave at 8 feet. But I'm going to make the other two at 6 feet. And that'll give us 2 foot for at least 2 of the corners to go up. I guess I could make it a little bit bigger than that. Okay. If I could get this to stay put for half a second. Ta-da! I'm gonna go get a ratchet strap. Yeah, that's what they're called. Now, these 2x4s are going to be on the outside surrounding the thing, so it'll help hold the base shape down a little bit better. But that right there is 6.5 feet roughly. That way I can stand up pretty easy in it. I think we'll do that, and that'll give us 18-inch tall sides. So it'll go 18 inches up perfectly square, and then it'll do the Conestoga thing in the middle. and I'll be able to use staples along the outside edges of that frame. And then in the back here, I'm going to use the 1/2 inch hardware cloth, but obviously there'll be a 2x4 at the bottom, and then 18 inches up there'll be another 2x4, and then the rest of the way up it'll all be hardware cloth. And then we're going to put a tarp over the top of it, probably covering almost all of it, like from the bottom over to the other side kind of thing, because I want the chickens to be able to get into a spot where they're out of the wind. So at least a portion of the back and the sides, and you know, all the way over the top on one end, at least half of it, so they can get out of the rain, get out of the wind. But then I also want the front with the door. That would make it complicated if you tried to cover that. So the door won't be covered other than 1/2 inch hardware cloth, and then not a tarp over directly above it, because they need sunshine. Until they're big, they're not going to be out here. Well, okay, until they're feathered out, they won't be in this anyway. They'll be in the brooder until they have all their feathers, and then they'll go into this, and then we'll move them around. Each day we'll move it like the length of the chicken tractor, so they'll be on fresh grass every day. And then we're still going to feed them and all that kind of stuff, but they'll be on fresh grass. So instead of changing out the litter underneath of them, they'll just be pooping on the ground, and then we'll move them forward so they won't be in their own yuck. But that'll help the grass grow back better. And then I'm going to put 1/2 inch hardware cloth basically everywhere. This is just to hold the basic shape, but I'll have 1/2 inch hardware cloth that comes down from that top 2x4 down, and then skirt out and just kind of blip, blip, blip on the ground as we move it. But that'll keep things from trying to dig under it. I know some people just put a tarp directly over this and they haven't had problems, but we do have skunks out here, and skunks really like to kill chickens. They don't eat the whole chicken. Well, spoiler alert, this is kind of gross, but all they do is eat their head. That's weird to me. Yeah, enough yapping. Let's start getting to work. This is probably going to fall over because, again, these were kind of bent, so we'll see what happens, but maybe. I don't know. We'll get the base bit and then we'll come back to it. Okay, so there's the base. Now we just need to do another one all the way around the top. I skipped the part about me cutting 2x4s because you guys have seen that plenty. You cut a 2x4 off. It's pretty simple. Anyway, again, 6.5 feet, 8 feet. All right, I'm going to get some more materials together and we'll be back. Before I forget to turn the camera back on after getting some of this stuff lined out, when I bought the pressure treated 2x4s the other day, I was just thinking around the base, and I was doing all this in my head. That's how I build 90% of this stuff. I build it like 3 times in my head, and then I go get the materials, and usually in a rush, and this time I forgot something. You know, like the whole second row. So there's going to be more 2x4s that go about this high, across the back over on this side, and then there's going to be these two that are right here that are the frame for the door. So this will go across, and that'll help, you know, tie this in and keep it from doing this, because there'll be another cross brace or rail, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, this will be sitting like this. That's what this mark here is. That's 18 inches up, same as this one. And then you can kind of see the edge, but I put a piece of plywood on the outside here, and it's a triangle. That's clear over there. Anyway, it's triangle to help keep it from doing this when we're rolling it along through the field. I'm tempted to go ahead and fill this area in with plywood too, because that'll help, you know, keep this from trying to move. By the time this goes up, has a header across the door, back down, tied in over there, it should be fairly rigid, but I like to overbuild instead of hope. Now this is all going to be outside, so yeah, we'll paint it and stuff like that, but it's only going to last maybe 5 years, because that plywood's going to start to delaminate at some point. The tarp probably won't last that long, so these are temporary, but you can repair them. That's why I went ahead and used the pressure treated wood. It's not going to last forever, but it'll last a lot longer than if I just used regular green lumber. Anyway, so kind of at a standstill until I get a little bit more wood, but I can build the door and get this area. I got to go grab some more plywood. It's just scrap stuff that I have laying around. I wouldn't call this a tutorial on how to build these things, but I will try and kind of say how I'm doing it. If you want to try and mimic something like it, but chances are you're going to make up your own version of it. But yeah, part of the reason for that too is I'm going to try and copy another kind of chicken tractor that I saw, where it's got a handle that will be attached up here. When it swings out, it pulls on a cable that goes down to a pulley, back to another pulley that then brings a wheel forward. So instead of having a little set of wheels on the back side that are like, you know, about so big, and they're about that far apart, I'm gonna have more like a big wheel lawnmower. They're, you know, like 15, 16 inches. That'll be a little past center towards the back, because you're picking up on a handle. So you're gonna bring the front end up a little bit. So they'll be, I don't know, instead of being 4 foot, center of 8, they'll probably be at 5 foot, maybe even 5.5 feet from the front. We'll see. I got to have enough room for the cable and everything, and I don't want it like too tipsy, because then when you pull up on the handle, you'll just be dragging the very back. But you want the back down more than the front, because as you're bringing this forward, if the chickens don't walk along, they're going to get scraped by the back. So you gotta, it takes a little bit, but you'll train them. As the back end comes up to them, they'll like get scared and run towards you, kind of. But anyway, it's a little bit of a process. And just about the time you get them trained up real good, then they're big enough that you move them into freezer camp. That's if you're doing meat birds. If you're doing egg layers, then obviously you hang on to them for 2-3 years. But anyway, enough yapping. I'll get back to building this. I'll go get the plywood to fill that corner in, and then I'll bring you right back. Okay, so we've got our piece of plywood cut. We've got a framing square here. I'm gonna go ahead and first screw this plywood to the base, and then I will use the framing square to make sure this is plumb to the base, and then we'll just bring that side in to match the edge of the plywood. This doesn't have to be like extra premium. The truth of the matter is we're going to be pulling it across the pasture. The pasture is not flat, so it's going to be doing all this. That's why I was saying I'm going to have the hardware cloth on the outside edge, because you can't really see it right now very well in the camera, but like I can stick my shoe underneath of this edge because it's sticking up where the ground has a little bit of a drop to it. But anyway, we'll get this screwed on real quick, and then we'll do kind of the same thing on the other side, get the door framed in, build the door. And then I bought some self-closing hinges. They're just spring-loaded. That way, even if you don't pull the door shut, it will shut on its own. Let's get going. That'll hold that true, and then I can put this guy. Ooh. Ha! I covered up my mark. Oh, that's tragic. Now I gotta find my tape measure. It's way over there. Alright. You'll just have to trust me because you can't see, but it's 18 inches to the bottom. Right about here. When we get more 2x4s, that'll get screwed down there. I mean, already this is like super rigid this way. Not so much this way, obviously. But we'll get the top one, the other side, and all that kind of stuff. And again, I'll bring you right back. Leave it in the comments. Tell me, do you like it when I fade out, fade back in? Or do you like it better if it's in fast forward so you can see how I do it? sure there's a better way of doing almost all of this stuff, but it's done now. Let's see if I can find my tape measure again. I'll measure that in between there. Hey, look at that, 23 1/4. It's hard to cut 2x4s in there if you leave them out here. That won't work. Oh, and of course, forgot my tape measure. Gotta measure the 18 inches. Does that look good to you? Looks good to me. I kind of eyeballing the gap, the distance between screws there. So now we just got to get our header. All right, so I made this one 24 1/4 at the bottom, so we should be. It's spread out a little bit. We're at like 24 1/2, so. But we'll cut it at 24 1/4, and then bring it in. And I'll probably use little scraps of 2x4 plywood to create little gussets. Yeah, I should have enough. I'll create little gussets in here too, because you can walk through the center and not hit your head. But anyway, yeah, let's do that now. 24 1/4. Okay. Now I could pull this over and staple it in, and we'd start getting this sort of situation figured out. But let's put the plywood on the inside. That way the door has something to slam against. So if I put a 2x4 in the center that runs front to back, I can then run chain down from it, and you can use like PVC pipe cut in half, or there's all kinds of different things you do. But anyway, you can use that as your feed trough, and it's suspended. That way it will kind of swing. That sort of kind of deters them from standing on it, but also when you move, it moves with you because it's suspended. Or we might just use the round ones, but there's all kinds of ideas. But that will help me get it tied in this way. It'll also keep it from doing that. And it'll tie the whole thing in, like these two ends together as well. So we got our first product review from a company called Grub Terra. They, I don't think they're alive. Anyway, so they're a company that reached out to us that does black soldier fly larvae. I had to say that slow so you could understand me. But anyway, so one of the cool things about this is it turns 20 pounds of food waste, pre-consumer food waste, it says, like from grocery stores and stuff, into a pound of black fly larvae. Now, we feed our chickens most of our food waste, but not everybody has chickens yet. That's kind of changing. But anyway, so we're going to give the birds some of this black fly larvae and see what they think of it, because we're going to be getting more chickens. This would be a good supplement, and it's supposed to actually help with some of the, like, the egg shell strength, and give, there was something else that said, or maybe I was reading on something else, but anyway, it's beneficial. So let's see what they think. All right, ladies, back up, back up, back up. Okay. Out here. I'm gonna say it looks like they like it. Anyway. I don't know how particularly picky chickens are. They seem to like everything we get them, but we have tried to make sure we don't feed them stuff that we wouldn't want to be eating. But yeah, we'll give it a couple days and I'll get back with you. And also there is a link that they gave to me that I'll be putting in the description to get you guys a percentage off, and it's site-wide, not just for the chicken stuff. I think they have, let's see, well, this one says for chickens, reptiles, fish, or birds, but I think they have other treats for different pets too. But anyway, look in the description and we'll put a discount code down there for you. So yeah. You're not quite sure, are you? You're like, yeah, I don't know. They're eating them. They've never had anything like that before, so they're not quite sure what to do about it. Okay, so yesterday I left you before we had the door done. I used that old recycled handle. I was just going to toss it out, but then I thought, hey, look at there, a free door handle. And then these hinges are the spring-loaded ones, so they will close the door automatically. I think that's all that I did before we lost light and the camera went dead and all that happiness, but Liddell picked me up some more 2x4s, so we'll get those things cut to fit and get back on it. Okay, so we got these upper rails put on. I need to still screw in a little bit right through here, like a small screw, and then we'll come back with the fencing staples and come into this 2x4. And I don't, did I do the bottom already? Yeah, I started to do the bottom. But anyway, that'll keep this pulled up against the side. And then we'll get another 2x4 that comes up to the center, and we'll go all the way along this single rail up to the door. That'll get everything tied in. And then we have some 1/2-inch hardware cloth that is on order. When it shows up, I can't find any that's of decent size. Like 1/2 inch we can find, but only 2 feet and I think 25 feet rolls. Not even close to enough. So we've got 4 feet high and 100 feet long. We'll be showing up, I don't know, a week or two, something like that. But anyway, so we'll finish these little bits up on this one as far as we can go, and then we'll start on another project until we can get back to this one. We're going full cycle, like farmstead ADD, like 9 things at the same time, because that's how I do it. Anyway, we'll bring you back here in just a little bit. Okay, so another way I could have done this is to use a 2x4 bracket hanger thing, but I don't have any, so we're making it up as we go here. I guess until the 1/2-inch hardware cloth shows up, that's about as good as we're going to get it. Maybe a couple more staples, but again, Liddell's picking those up for me while she's in town. And then after I get the hardware cloth on, then we'll put the tarp on. And I'm gonna try and see if I can't make it to where I can cover the top, probably 3/4 of it, maybe half, whatever, and then have the tarp come around the back too. I'm hoping that I can kind of fold it in enough ways so that as it comes down this side, it'll fold in and kind of meet in the middle. And however far it doesn't go across the top will come down. And if we have a little bit of open, that's okay, as long as the chickens have some way they can get out of the rain and most of the wind. But yeah, so this project's about as far along as we can get it for right now. So I'll clean up everything and then I'll start the next project. Probably put this in our video collection with the chicken stuff. If you want to come back and make sure you don't miss the next one, go ahead and follow the channel, and we'll have it put in there in one of the playlists. That's what it's called, the playlist. Anyway, thanks for stopping by and checking us out. We'll be back as soon as we can. God bless y'all.